later, you had her saying that Renee Good was a domestic terrorist.
Minneapolis is in total meltdown. You have the mayor screaming at ICE, federal agents getting kicked out of hotels, and now a 6-month-old baby stops breathing after getting tear gassed. This isn't just politics anymore. It's a war zone.
You went on national television and you said to ICE, get the F out of Minneapolis. Do you regret that language? I mean, that doesn't sound like turning the temperature down.
I don't regret it at all. In the moments before I went out there to do that press conference, I learned that Kristi Noem had already jumped to a conclusion as to the ICE agent's conduct, saying that it was purely self-defense. Minutes or hours later, you had her saying that Renee Good was a domestic terrorist. If I seemed like I was angry and frustrated, I was. And part of my responsibility as mayor is to channel what the people in our city.
If and when that subpoena comes and we are told that investigation has been launched, will you comply with the Justice Department's demands?
Look, we have done nothing wrong. So, of course, we will comply in it. But at the same time, we need to be understanding how wild this is. And whether it's Senator Slotkin or Governor Walz or myself, this is not the way that we conduct ourselves in America. We are doing everything possible right now to keep people safe in our city. We have spoken out to make sure that our residents are protected and people's constitutional rights are upheld. Speaking out in that way is not illegality. In fact, that is enshrined in the charter of our city, which is our Constitution.
The Secretary specifically called on you to set up a safe zone where a protest would be contained. Is that something you're looking at?
The First Amendment speech is not limited to one park or one section of the city. You are allowed to protest so long as you're doing it peacefully. And by the way, we've got tens of thousands of people in Minneapolis that are grinning down the bear, that are peacefully expressing their First Amendment rights. So no, you can't have just one section of a city. That's not the way First Amendment works.
Look at Mayor Frey here. He's under federal investigation for obstruction, and instead of de-escalating, he's doubling down. He's talking about channeling the anger of his city, which is political code for I'm letting the mob dictate policy. But then he pivots to this First Amendment defense, saying you can't contain protests to a specific zone. Okay, fair point on free speech, but there's a massive difference between speech and physically blocking federal law enforcement. He's trying to walk this impossible tightrope, telling ICE to get out while claiming he just wants safety. But the reality on the ground is that his city is spiraling, and his rhetoric is basically gasoline on the fire.
Today in South Minneapolis at the Arco gas station on Lake Street, a convoy of 4 vehicles filled with ICE agents pulled up on a man pumping gas and arrested him, threw him in the back of one of their vehicles to abduct him when we got the call for this ICE sighting. Within minutes, we had 20 to 30 observers on foot and in vehicle, myself included. I posted a video on my page where we showed up and we overwhelmed these ICE agents so much that they let this detainee go. Now, my video does not include this detainee's face or his vehicle as a means to protect him further. But it's working, you guys. It's working. And I know that dozens of arrests are happening in the metro area every day, but dozens more would be happening if it wasn't for the organized way that my community is showing up to stop these ICE agents.
This is exactly what happens when leadership signals that federal laws are optional. You have citizens actively forming convoys to intercept federal agents. She says it with such pride. We overwhelmed them. But think about the danger here. If ICE agents feel cornered by a mob at a gas station, that is a recipe for a shootout. She thinks she's a hero protecting a neighbor, but she's actually creating a volatile situation where someone, probably an innocent bystander, is going to get hurt. It's vigilante justice masquerading as activism, and it's being enabled by the rhetoric coming from City Hall.
What's the breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
But it's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys keep changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts, is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth. It absolutely is that these law enforcement officers are out there every day doing the work to protect the American people, and they will keep doing that because they believe in enforcing the law, which is exactly what President Trump has charged them with.
So how do you judge when you've gotten everyone off the streets that you say is, requiring your federal agents be there? How do you say we've had mission accomplished?
Well, we won't stop until we are sure that all the dangerous people are picked up, brought to justice, and then deported back to their home countries.
Or a date?
We wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be in this situation if Joe Biden hadn't allowed our open border policies to be in place and allowed up to 20 million people unvetted into this country. We have no idea how many dangerous people are here. When you have millions of people coming in that are terrorists, suspected terrorists, criminals, come from countries in the mass migration that the Biden administration facilitated, I can't tell the people of Minnesota exactly how many dangerous criminals they have. I do know that they're extremely grateful every time we get a pedophile off the street. We arrested an individual this week that was raping children. I think those parents in Minnesota can sleep better at night knowing that that person isn't free.
This exchange is fascinating because it's a total collision of two different realities. Margaret Brennan is pushing for hard data. How do you know when you're done? Which is a valid question. But Kristi Noem isn't playing the numbers game. She's playing the law and order card. She's arguing that the existence of the open border makes the specific stats irrelevant because the threat is unknown. It's a masterful pivot. Every time Brennan asks about Minneapolis metrics, Noem zooms out to national border failure. It works politically, but for the people living in Minneapolis right now, hearing about 20 million unvetted people doesn't solve the fact that there are flashbangs going off in their neighborhoods tonight.
This is a developing story, but we are now learning that ICE and Border Patrol agents are being kicked out of this hotel, the DoubleTree by Hilton in St. Paul downtown. The hotel says it's due to safety concerns. We did confirm with the hotel that all guests did receive a memo that all government employees have to be checked out by noon. The other guests are allowed to stay. The hotel says it's due to safety concerns. We just walked in, tried to book a room. We couldn't. They did confirm that it is closing. We do see a truck now leaving. Now, this is still a developing situation here in downtown Minneapolis. We're also learning that President Trump also has the Army's 11th Airborne Division on standby to be deployed here to Minnesota. So once again, this is still a developing situation on what's going on here on the ground. But just even driving around the city, you see lots of anti-ICE signs, anti-Border Patrol signs, and now ICE agents here will have to find a new room after federal employees are now being...
This is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street and you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the Civil Rights Movement was about, the Civil Rights Movement was about these very kinds of protests.
This is the escalation I was talking about. When you have a major hotel chain kicking out federal agents because they can't guarantee safety, you have lost control of the city. That is an unprecedented level of pressure. And then you see them storming a church. That footage is wild. It shows that there are no, quote, safe zones anymore. Not hotels, not houses of worship. The social contract is breaking down. Whether you support ICE or hate them, watching a city fragment like this, where federal agents are homeless and churches are battlegrounds, should terrify everyone. It's not civil disobedience, it's systemic collapse.
One distressing scene, a baby hospitalized after a family's car was hit with tear gas, according to the Minneapolis Office of Community Safety. The agency saying the 6-month-old had difficulty breathing.
The ICE agents came forward and they were lined up with their mace.
The Jackson family says they were driving home from their son's basketball game. The gas grenades setting off the airbags in the car, trapping them inside. Bystanders opening the doors. That's when the family says the baby wasn't breathing.
Having to get my baby mouth to mouth and people pouring milk all over my other kids. I thought I was dying, honestly.
Any of these tactics seem to you heavy-handed?
The family was caught up in that situation because of violent protesters that were impeding law enforcement operations. And that family would have never been in that situation if those protesters had been acting peacefully and law enforcement was able to do their job without being threatened. And so it's a terrible situation that family had to go through, and I hope it never happens again. But we need to remember that because the mayor and the governor have allowed this kind of violence to be perpetuated across Minneapolis is why there's other innocent people that are impacted throughout the city, but throughout their state as well.
This is the nightmare scenario. A family just trying to get home from a basketball game gets caught in the crossfire. Hearing that mother describe giving CPR to her 6-month-old baby because of tear gas, that is gut-wrenching. Noem's response is cold, but strategically consistent. She blames the protesters for creating the trap. But that doesn't wash away the image of an infant gasping for air. This is the human cost of the political standoff we just watched. When the mayor says, "Get out," and the feds say, "We're staying," innocent families are the ones who pay the price. It's a tragedy that was completely preventable, and sadly, it probably won't be the last one. This situation in Minnesota is moving fast and getting more dangerous by the hour. Do you think the mayor is inciting this, or is the federal response too heavy-handed? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns. Stay safe out there.